Well, the question was, what are we going to do about our economy, about the deficit, that we're at $13 billion. And obviously, we have not done nothing about the deficit. But people have to understand, when you work with a union, if you're in a union, most people, you know, for city or state, federal government, you're in a union, and then you get taxes, you get a raise every year, and you get a cost of living increase. And the reason why you get a cost of living increase is because inflation, things go up. So now our government has gone up. And even because we have not done, even with doing everything that we were supposed to do, with the contracts of the union, ASME's contract, which the majority of our state workers are ASME workers. Now we pay, our budget is $58 billion, $26 billion of that dollars goes for Medicare. With the rising cost of health costs, that rate goes up. So we're paying the majority of 26.2% of our budget, $1 billion of our budget goes to pay our Medicare, goes to pay the ASME contract. Now we have nothing, we don't negotiate, the legislature do not negotiate ASME's contract. That's negotiated with the union. And whatever they come out of there with the agreement of negotiation, we're responsible for paying that. That's something we're talking about changing. We're looking at, should we be involved in the contract, and should we say yes, or how much you're going to get a raise for. But whatever that contract is negotiated for, the legislature is responsible, regardless of looking into our budget. So we have to pay that, and we have to pay our pension obligations before we can do anything else. And then we got the $26 billion left. That everything has gone up. Housing prices have gone up. So if you are living, if you're renting, or if a lot of people have homes and you got, you didn't get a fixed rate, your mortgage fluctuates, so the property, so your income, so your mortgage rate went up. So if your income isn't meeting the rate that the prices are going up, you're in a deficit. And the same thing is with your homes. If with your personal living, if you're making $1,000, I always say I use $1,000 because it's kind of easy to figure out, and your mortgage is $700. And then between everything else that you have to pay, like gas, phone, rent, like gas, phone, clothes, you know, whatever day-to-day expenses, your entertainment, things like that, is over $1,000. So now what do? So you borrow money from all of your accounts. Say you had an education fund, you borrow that money. Say you had a Christmas fund, you borrow money. And eventually, you got about a year or two, maybe you can go a year and a half, taking money from one account to another account to pay that account. So what do you need to do? You need to get more revenue. How are you going to do that? Either you get a new job, or you have to find a job. You have to find a job to support the other part of your expenses. And that's what has happened with the state. Well, it's not that the state has overspent. In some instances, we have overspent. But just the normal day-to-day living of the state expenses has caused the state to go up. And because we have not paid those, we've always put off today what we can pay tomorrow. And so years from now, our grandchildren will be paying that deficit. That's what we have done. This has happened over years that we've come up with this. And so now, it's like it's nowhere to go. So our bond rate is low. We can't borrow. We passed the capital bill, and those people were waiting for money, and we've approved projects for different districts, but they can't get it because we can't sell the bonds. We can't sell the bonds, and so the legislature are afraid to vote for a tax increase because half of the people want a tax increase and the other half don't. So it's contingent on our elections. Well, yes, I support some kind of increase, revenue increase, enhancements. How are we going to get to that point? What is agreed? Whether it be a graduated tax, whether it be a flat rate of everybody paid at 3%. Illinois at this point is 3%. We're the lowest state around paying income tax. And so it's my belief that every work in Illinois should help Illinois to get out of this deficit. Now, how do we do that? That's the problem that 118 of us in the House and 59 of us in the Senate have to agree upon. And we've been trying and working at that, but we have not come to an agreement on how we do it. Now, the longer we prolong that, the worse shape we're in. But the money, and then you got to remember too, we get our budget, it comes from, the general revenue fund comes from the sales tax, the income tax, and the lottery. And all three of those are down. So our projected revenue that we should have at this point, we don't have. We're paying bills at this date from now, I think we're in September. Last week we were paying middle of August, so we might have this week gotten up to September. I have to check.